memory was meant to be useful, but not timeless. Memory can decay, it can fade, and it's not as solid as we'd like to believe it is. We tend to think of memory like this library. We can pull a book up, look something up. It turns out our memory doesn't quite work that way. Memory is some representation of an experience that aids in making subsequent decisions. So animals remember where food was, where shelter was, what was frightening, so that they can avoid those things. And we can use that recollection to remember things fondly, to remember who people are. And then we use our memory in a different way to remember stuff. We call that semantic memory. It's sort of the stuff you know, like, well, I know the capital of the United States is located in Washington, D.C., or I know the capital in Connecticut is Hartford, or I know numbers in math. So we have things that we're not going to turn into long-term memory. We remember it just as long as we need to go write something down, and then it's gone. And we call that transient or short-term memory. There's other things that we want to remember, and those get altered to become long-term memory. The different processes are holding it in that kind of looping pattern, tagging it for salience. We think about this encoding phase, and then the transition over into long-term memory, this storage phase, and then a retrieval phase. The longer we're exposed to something, and the more clearly we can see it and understand it and focus on it, the better it gets encoded. There's lots of things that can disrupt your ability to encode a memory. You might be highly distracted. There might be a lot of noise going on around you, so you can't quite get a good image. But normally, if something's tagged as relevant, that facilitates it moving over into the long-term memory. There's actually a very real physical change that translates that immediate short-term memory into a long-term memory. Physical changes in cells permit the experience to be extended and then stored for a very long time. There's no one spot for our memories in our brain. They seem to be distributed, although certain portions of memory can be found in unique areas of the brain. And then there's the retrieval process. When I was in training, the concept was, well, as long as you recorded it really well, you encoded it, the memory should be pretty good. If it was a good memory going in, you could retain it. We now know that once we have made a memory and it goes into storage, it can be modified while it's in storage based on our ongoing experience, even though we're not using it. And it's also modified by the state of mind and emotions we're experiencing when we retrieve the memory. So if you think about memory as a photograph, just sort of as an idea, you'd say it's taken all apart, that it's made up of all these pixels. And just think about that as that being taken apart. And when you want to retrieve the memory, it's being reassembled. And when it's reassembled, it's basically being recreated.